continue to load in those questions. We're just gonna go ahead and start off. So, do vegans really need protein? That's a good question, Michael K. Do vegans really need protein? And it's a complex question if you ask me, because why are we singling out vegans, correct? I mean, we all need the substance of protein for a number full of reasons, correct? It do give you fuel, it do give you cell structure, it does give you energy, it does give help the immune system, correct? But everyone needs protein. Any existence has protein, correct? So it's not a sort that if we need it or we don't need it, correct? And vegans or plant-based diets, because I don't want to stick to trends and different things like that. People who only eat plants, plant-based diet beings, vegetarians, etc., they all still get their daily recommendations of protein. And I'm sure we will cover that in a moment. So, do vegans really need protein? All humans need protein. All animals need protein. Even to a certain degree, plants, because all protein comes from plants, correct? Any protein that you know of. The only reason why, I'm sure we'll speak about this again, the only reason why you get protein from a cow is because that cow ate grass, which contained calcium as well. But I'm sure we'll speak about that. Now, this is a good one. Is soy protein good? And this is what I mean by protein being so complex, correct? Now, soy protein is better than animal protein by far, correct? Now, I want to speak about soy in general, because my mentor, my icon, the person who have led a large lead in my studies of these plants, tells us, George Washington Carver tells us that the soy plant is a very versatile plant. It's a very complicated plant. And we should use the oil or the other remnants from the plant for machinery, external machinery. He was speaking about gears, he was speaking about hinges, he was speaking about different things like that, correct? Now, like I say, soy protein is better than animal protein. But what you probably want to go to is pea protein. Pea protein is closer to the animal and human protein that we already have. So it's not hard for the body to digest it. It's used to it. And I will speak about naturally how we have protein in a minute. Naturally already digest protein, correct? So soy protein is better than animal, but you should go to pea protein. You should look for other plant proteins that's out there, correct? Remember that when you're dealing with this, I'm sure Helen H, she is, if not Helen, please, comment back and say if I'm right or wrong. But when people usually ask about these soy proteins, they're talking about the smoothies, the shakes, the different things like that. I would like to say that there is a quote that says, the man who chases protein usually leads to dairy. And dairy protein and dairy products in general is very damaging. And I will explain that in a minute as well. And I guess we're going to explain it right now because the next question. Why do animals consume milk and meat, but we can't? I am 100% finished with my next book. It gets released from KwofiKhAn.com. We're still dealing with some things with publishing and graphic design, but it gets released between May and June. Look out for that. 3 stages of consumption. Talking about the digestion and health guide. All these topics is being talked about, correct, in this book. Look out for that book. It's going to be a great read for information about these subjects, correct? But back to the question of why do animals consume milk and meat but we can't? Like I say in the book, I elaborate extensively that we need to stop comparing ourselves to animals, because that is not a dominant way to think. And we say that we're more dominant than animals, so I just wanted to, clear that up. So we need to understand that animals do not continue to drink milk once they are adults. once they are already on a natural growing pattern, correct? Milk from the tit is a growth hormone. It is a growth chemical to get babies of all organisms to the level they need to have the enzymes in the immune system and the digestive tract to be able to take care of themselves. So we don't see any animals engaging in milk from the tit, young adult to adult, because don't need the growth hormone from another being anymore, correct? This is when you are over consuming in dairy, over consuming in milk and growth hormones, and this is when you become obese. This is when you start having health complications, correct? Also, you do not see any animals concocting from a dead animal or a live animal products from those animals to make another substance and ingest it. There's no cheese, there's no yogurts, there's no other dairy products that they concoct or put through any mechanism. Once they don't need it, they don't engage in it. And I also would like to say that animals fast, animals use plants for laxatives, animals use plants for different healing their self when it comes to external wounds. Animals are very intelligent when it comes to consuming foods. So when we start comparing ourselves, we need to slow down a little bit, correct? We need to slow down a little bit. 60% of humans don't even fast. Even the ones who's religious, and they fast in Christianity, they fast in Islam, they fast in Buddhism, they fast in Judaism. So only 40% of people in the world conducting fast, and this is, ignorance. And usually horses, dogs, and a lot of other animals conduct themselves in fast, or not only through hibernation, and we speak about this in the book as well, not only through hibernation, but also intermediate fasting, daily or weekly. So when we start talking about why do animals consume milk and meat, but we can't, first of all, you're not a baby who need growth hormones anymore with the milk and dairy products. As far as meat, understanding that there are herbivores and carnivores. The gorillas, the giraffes, the elephants, the bulls, these animals are natural herbivores, and they are the strongest and most intelligent, and they can defeat one lion. One of those animals can defeat one lion. Maybe not a horse. Maybe giraffes have a problem sometimes, and maybe bulls have a problem sometimes. But it's the world of combating each other. So sometimes win or lose, things happen. So we can't, combat that as far as lions can take down a horse or something like that. If a lion goes up with a wildebeest or a bull, 9 times out of 10 it will lose. If it goes up against a gorilla or goes up against one elephant, one-on-one, 9 times to 10 it will lose. So comparing a carnivore, natural carnivore, to a natural herbivore, we lose again on that kind of, conversation. Vegans win, but meat and dairy product consumers, they lose. So I was waiting on this question. What is protein? Any damn way. What is that stuff, man? Never seen it, but I need it. I get it. What is it, right? Why is it important? Now, protein is important, ladies and gentlemen. Not animal protein, just the substance of getting protein, correct? It is important. The reasons why it is important is because it plays a intensive and strategic role in the immune system, in the way the human anatomy works, correct? There's 20 amino acids. The body cannot make the 8 essential ones that we seek after. So we keep amino acids in mind when we're speaking about this, correct? Understand, let me put up this grade for you real quick. Bear with me, families. But let's just say this is it, correct? We're going to put protein here. I'm going to pull out my chart to make sure that's everything. Okay. We got amino acids over here, Remember we said you need those amino acids. So you got amino acids placements, correct? It's just happening. It's just happening. There's no real, people can start to elaborate how the amino acids and proteins interact with each other and how they interact with the body, but all we really know is that the amino acids, every single one of them is present when we're dealing with this protein, correct? So on this side of, this is the ingestion of protein. This is the, whatever protein you're intaking, this is the, come down here. On this side, we have enzymes, correct? We got structure, correct? Let me just make sure I got it right. Yeah, we have hormonal balances, correct? And on this side, you know, we got energy, correct? We got, from the energy, we get the fuel. And then we have storage. This is when we start talking about fats and different things like that, correct? And then we also have another component for structure. And this storage, like I say, leads to the fat. So this is where you're getting the weight from the protein, correct? So when you ingest protein, remember I said the amino acids is taking place, correct? Being present, being generated, helping out the body. You have enzymes that's being, and we have digestive enzymes, gut enzymes. We have a large level of enzymes that we can speak about that I'm actually going to speak about in another live video, correct? And then you have structure, hormonal balances, and you have the energy placement that is going to the fuel, that's responsible for fuel. You have the structure of the body. This is repairing the injured parts of the body and different things like that. We have storage, which is responsible for the fat in the body, correct? Keeping up the weight of the body. And this is what people are seeking after, like, you know, athletes and different things, correct? So I put the grid up there for you so you can get an understanding of what's important. We need to understand that the body wants to burn off carbohydrates, excuse me, and let me put the carbohydrates, because this is very important right here. There's a middle sector right here. This is where the carbohydrates come into place. And we will speak about that in a moment. With the other list of things, correct? So keep this grid in mind while we speak about this, correct? Because we need to understand that the body wants to turn, it wants to turn this stuff into fat before it turns it into fuel, correct? So we have to understand that the amino acids, carbohydrates is doing a job when it is generating the energy. And like I said, we'll speak about the carbohydrates and why this grid is so important to about what's going on, correct? So we need to understand that when we are dealing with protein, look at it as bricks. We're building a house. This is a temple, correct? We speak about this all the time. This is a vehicle. And we can speak about scrap metal as well. Shout out to Dr. Milton. But we can look at it as like bricks, right? And you're building a temple. And this is where the skip leg day came from, because why would you not work on the foundation? You know? So these bricks, imagine you had workers building your temple. This is the nutrients that you are ingesting. So you have materials and workers, and this is how you're going to get healthy. This is the food you are ingesting in, the vitamins, the minerals, right? The enzymes, the other nutrients that's present for you to be optimal being, optimal health being, correct? So you have one worker who continuously just go to the store and get bricks. He load up the pickup truck, you know, at Home Depot, at Lowe's, and he just keep coming back and he unload. And he's not talking to anybody inside of the house where the job is at. What's going on? He just keep bringing back bricks. After a while, what is going to take place? You're just going to have a large pile of bricks, correct? And sometimes you have too much materials. You overspend your budget, correct? Having an individual who just overload on one task. Things have to be conversated, have to be communicated to the people inside the house who's really doing the job, correct? Not just the person who's going to get the materials, thinking that he's the complete job. So think of the protein as the bricks that he's going to get. Eventually they just sit there. And anytime the proteins sit there, this is when you get additions to the body, extra additions. Remember, do not let them take any parts of your body, because when you get an extra part of your body, it damages it. We're talking about tumors, we're talking about breast cysts, we're talking about urine fibroids, we're talking about skin tags, we're talking about any extra addition of the body or growth that just comes will usually end up being cancerous. And this is when you get lipomas and different things like that, right? So do not overindulge in anything, specifically protein. And I will explain exactly why, other than that fact. And this is usually because of the thiamine, correct? Too much thiamine, which is an amino acid, correct? Which is an amino acid. Too much thiamine damages the mitochondria. When you have a damaged mitochondria, this is cancerous promotions, bringing back up the tumors, bringing up the extra additions of the body, correct? When the mitochondria is damaged, it cannot function on a normal base, and these amino acids, which is the thiamine dosage, is too much to stimulate the calories of the cells, correct? Or the whole digestion pattern in general, correct? So you have an overload, so the body have to find something to do with it. And this is when the storage comes into place. Correct? It skips structure, it skips energy, because you have too much of it. And we will speak about the levels of protein you need. You have too much of it. So it's going to store it, and it's going to lead to fat. And that fat is going to become tumors and cancers all over the body because it travels, correct? So we need to be careful when we talk about what protein exactly is. Some people believe that you only need about 56 grams of protein a day, correct? So keep that in mind, and we will speak about the foods that and what level of protein they had, and this will debunk any need of any meat, okay? So the next question, which is a great one: do athletes need more protein? If you're paying attention, you can answer this yourself. No, because what happens when an athlete is just someone who does a little bit, let's just base it on, we know what an athlete is, shout out to all the greats, but you're just doing a little bit more than the usual person as far as expending energy, correct? Expending energy. So it's not exactly that you need protein and everything else, you just need the energy. Well, this is when we're going to start talking about carbohydrates, people. Because what is carbohydrates? Carbohydrates is hydrated carbon. And what is happening when you have hydrated carbon? You're creating energy. This energy is in placement as fuel, correct? So what do you need? You need amino acids that's present enough to create carbohydrates that they can be electrolytes, and this is why we start talking about electrolytes in a minute, can be converted into electrolytes and eventually turn into energy so you can have fuel, so you can do more reps than usual, you can work out more than usual than the normal person with the normal diet. So it's not that these athletes need to just overconsume on protein. Like I say, those protein shakes and smoothies are trash, specifically if they're dairy, whey, or soy. So no, I say it's better than the dairy and the animal products, but you need to go to pea proteins and different things like that. You don't need to overconsume one, correct? Your body is a miracle temple. It has all of the digestion patterns that it needs. It has all the nutrients that it needs to be exactly what you train it to be, correct? You have to train a plant. I have a money tree sitting here, a braided money tree. Anybody know about those? You have to train it. I have a bamboo tree as well. You have to train it to be go into spiral motion. It's the same with the bodies, correct? So we need to understand that. Remember, I say that exercise equals utilization. So you need to learn how to utilize the carbohydrates, utilize the amino acids, and find out what is the best. Because when we start talking about over consuming or just consuming protein in general, correct? a lot of the times we have problems even absorbing the nutrients of the meat because it's so, you know, like I say, they say that, or a lot of times we go to it and it seems easier because the proteins that's in animals is closer to the proteins that's in humans, but that's actually worse because obviously, like Dr. Milton said, it's an argument for cannibalism, but the body does not get the amount of nutrients. It's like a middleman by eating another animal or eating a human when those animals and humans was eating plants to get the nutrients for you. You need to cut out the middleman. And by cutting out the middleman, anybody who knows business or anything else in the street, when you cut out the middleman, what happens? You benefit more. Okay, so we need to understand that athletes do not need more protein. They need more carbohydrates. They need more amino acids. And in replacement, they need more fuel and energy. This is when the correct exercise come into place and the correct nutrients, minerals, and vitamins are placement. So the enzymes, carbohydrates, and amino acids can be placement, correct? So, next question. Which foods are best for proteins? We need to understand this because they say that you need to eat all of these meats, but no poultry, no meat, no animal will heal you. Plants will heal you. Simple, up and down. Why wouldn't you get healed while you eat? Why would you eat and then be like, oh, something went wrong, I'm going to heal myself now? Why don't you just heal yourself while you eat, correct? And I say this because going back to, and we're going to keep the carbohydrates and everything in placement because we're talking about energy, correct? And it seems like in these two, we're talking about energy. So the human needs 56 grams of protein, 2,000 calories a day, correct? So let's just say the average athlete needs a little bit more than that. Only a little bit more. Only, let's just say, I'm not even going to put a percentage on it, just need a little bit more of it, correct? The average, but a lot of you are not athletes, so we're not going to go off that. We're just going to go off the average person in America, correct? The average person needs 56 grams and 2,000 calories a day. When we start targeting down the levels of this, we need to understand that broccoli alone, they did a study that a person only ate broccoli and had up to 147 grams of protein at the end of the day, and also a large amount of different amino acids, different vitamins and nutrients and minerals like magnesium and calcium, correct? So we need to understand that we can just eat the broccoli, which you should have diversified, but you can just eat the broccoli other than eating the chicken. It's to get the protein. I mean, if that's what you're saying you're eating the chicken for, is for the protein, why don't you just eat the broccoli? And if not, you're just addicted to the taste, but really you're just addicted to plants because flour, spices, condiments are those plants. So, which foods are better? We got broccoli, like I said, 147 grams. Spinach is up there. Shout out to Popeye who was looking for the iron in this, going for the other minerals, other nutrients here. The real Popeye was looking for iron, and it just ended up making him diesel eating the spinach. Shout out to Spinach Sensei, correct? Lentils, they did a report about lentils. The next day they had the same guy come in, or the same people come in and only eat lentils for that day. He had up to 157 grams of protein. You can only eat beans, legumes, and different things like that and get protein, correct? If you think that plants ain't got protein, you must not know that beans and legumes and lentils are plants, correct? And like I say, other leafy greens, you have kale. And even there's a large level of fruit that have protein as well, correct? So it's not very hard. Vegetables, correct? Just eat your vegetables. Your broccoli, which is a cruciferous vegetable, you need to pretty much only eat it when there is a complication. But if you're going to search out or seek out protein and you're just scared about this protein, then just eat the vegetables, correct? Is protein valuable? And will the deficiency comes? Okay. Kwashiorkor. Do any of you know what Kwashiorkor is? You probably never heard of Kwashiorkor. And I'll bring up this fact on this question to say kwashiorkor is the scientific name for protein deficiency. You never heard it. You never heard that word because you never been to the hospital to see anybody with kwashiorkor. Because you never seen nobody die from protein deficiency. Correct? Understand, shout out to Dr. Milton again. This protein is not money. Saving it will not get you wealthy, will not get you healthy. Correct? You need to use it just like any other nutrient that's around. You will not die from any protein deficiency. I haven't seen it, haven't seen any reports, haven't seen anything along the lines. All of them seem false. All of them is on weird sites. All of them is on people who is conspiracy theorists against veganism and a lot of other things, right? So, kwashiorkor, protein is needed, but it's not, valuable. It ain't cash. So, you need to be wary of that. Do transitioning veganism stress the body? This is not really about protein, but you need to understand that the body knows what it needs, correct? You are already stressing the body by eating what you are eating. Too much growth hormones, too much cellular repairs and enzymes, amino acids, and carbohydrates just hanging around. Too much calorie intake, chasing protein. Too much dairy. They say that eggs and cheese is getting worse than cigarettes. Chasing the dairy, correct? So, transitioning veganism stress the body. You trying to say maybe is it an extreme gesture that you need to take? I would say what you are doing now is extreme. Killing animals, participating in mass genocide, these things are extreme. These things, stressing the body, stressing the mind, stressing the soul, correct? So we need to keep it up there. The next question, you guys are on topic. You guys are on topic. I'm loving it. Do plants feel pain? And let's go back to what I'm saying about stressing and the energetic and the soul health of it, correct? Plants are alive during consumption. As you are chewing a piece of spinach, it is alive. The active enzymes are alive, and it is alive all the way until digestion. Animals, on the other hand, is killed maybe months before you consume it, and then chemicals is placed on it so the meat doesn't rot and decay, wrapped in plastic. So I'm sure those animals felt pain. I'm sure those pieces of flesh doesn't have as many active, alive enzymes as that piece of spinach does. So we need to understand that plants are very intelligent, though. Plants cry. Plants call out. When you're cutting grass and you smell that, that's plants crying. That's plants trying to tell you that it's being attacked. It's a defense mechanism. Everything has it. It's a defense mechanism. So they're alive. They're organisms that's alive. Just like when you start killing a cow, it will start crying. It will start screaming, yelling. Correct? So, great question, I guess. Do you have to eat more plants to get more protein? Or don't you have to eat more plants to get more protein? Once again, you don't need that much protein, people. You need 56 grams a day. Eating a full dish of broccoli, you are good for 2. Correct? This is where fasting comes in at. You don't need to eat that much, people. You don't need that much nutrients. The body, if I haven't already said this, we went through a couple questions. If we understand the digestion pattern, we understand that 90 grams of protein is digested every day naturally from the body. Anyone intelligent, let me know what it is I'm speaking about. Keep that in mind. The body digests 90 grams of protein without eating any food every day naturally. What is it? I'm going to keep that question lingering. I'm going to ask you a question now. Let me know. Punch it in. Let me know what we're talking about. I'm going to go to the next question in the meantime. What about B12? Woo. They like to hit us with that after they lose on this protein conversation, don't they? I'm gonna accept that. I'm gonna accept that question. Accept that question. No, we just don't make it magically. We're not just gods. God didn't bless us like that. 90 grams of protein digested naturally without eating food every day. What is it? Punch in. Let me know. But what about B12? B12 is important, right? B12 is important. Any enzyme, any mineral, any vitamin, any nutrient, all of these are very important to keep up on, correct? But just like thiamine, if you have too much, it's bad. So we need to watch out. And just like B12, you only need 2.4 micrograms of it, a very, very small amount. And you can get B12 from almonds. They be reaching, man. It's not about the B12. The B12 is present. And the reason why the B12 is present, and we're going to sum up this next question with it. Correct? The reason why the B12 is present is because you can find it. B12 is created from bacteria. It's created, so fungi, that has a relationship with all plants growing at this moment. Bacteria. Good bacteria is responsible for B12, and it only takes a little bit of it. That's why people, they say you can even get B12 from licking your fingers like once a day. Combating on the immune system, right? This is like leaving your baby outside for a little bit when it's cold or in the spring season or fall season, trying to work their immune system up, putting mud on them, putting them in the oral baths, working on the immune system. They say you can suck your fingers a couple times a week and you can get the 2.4 micrograms of B12 because it's a bacteria. It's a bacteria substance. It's a bacteria nutrient, correct? So we need to keep these things in mind too, that they be reaching with the nutrients. They just be looking for a way out, correct? So now we need to understand that when we start talking about B12, it's very important because, like I say, all nutrients is important. And without it, we do have a weaker immune system. But this is people who are staying in the house, only eating one thing. This is why Corona had amped up. We're not going to speak too much about that, but this is why it amped up, because of lacks of the B12. So I understand why they argue it, but to get it, 2.4 micrograms of it, it's not that hard. So the next question, to answer y'all's question, correct? 90 grams of protein found without food in the digestion. What is it? It's the digestive lining of the digestion system. Every day, your digestive system sheds a layer of itself, and it digests itself, and it's 90 grams of protein. So, this is how people fast. This is how people survive fasting for long periods of time. People fast, not eating any food, being breatharians and breatharians and different things like that. So we just need to keep that in mind. That people be reaching with that too. It is your digestive pattern will shed itself every day and digest itself. It's like you feeding yourself, correct? You just miss all the other steps through the mouth and the esophagus, So we need to keep in mind that lower IGF-1Rs or IRs is for longevity of health, correct? And this is found in the placement of plant proteins, correct? What about vitamin D and protein? Vitamin D comes from the sun, correct? Protein is found from the earth, correct? You are in the middle. It is agreement, folks. You're going to get enough. Vitamin D is sent down. You must eat from the earth. You get the calcium, you get the protein, you get the magnesium, you get the iron. Correct? It is an agreement, folks. The nitrogen is responsible for amino acids. The carbon, the hydrogen, the oxygen is responsible for even making glucose. It's all, connected. What about artificial meats for proteins? Goes back to soy. It goes back to a lot of weird ingredient labels. Stay away from it. Stay away from the mimic meats. If it's bean based, if it's rice based, and you concoct it, cool. Stay away from the egg. Because you gotta use the egg. Stay away from the egg, but stay away from the lab meats. No lab meats. It's not worth it. A little percentage of protein, a little percentage of B12. It's not worth it. Take a supplement if you're just thirsty to get the nutrients. If it's jackfruit, mimic meat, maybe. But you make sure you're cooking that stuff, man. I don't mess with that stuff, man. But we need to understand that this information is very critical. It's very extensive. Everyone doesn't know everything. We're always learning. We're always working on it. But like I said, I just wanted to open it up because we need to understand that there's a lot of misinformation out here. It's a lot of bad information out here, especially with people talking about animals, comparing themselves to animals, comparing themselves to athletes, and you sit on the couch every day, correct? So you don't need that much energy. You don't need that much nutrients in the first place. And you also remember the digestive tract, remember the vitamin D from the sun. You're going to get the nutrients that you need naturally, just by plants, just by water, just by oxygen, just by existing. So, it's good to remember these things. It's good to remember this graph that I put out for you to understand that you need carbohydrates. And carbohydrates is responsible for the electrolytes. This is why they ushered the Gatorades to you, correct? Because they went to plants, and they will let you know that too. Gatorade, they went to plants to find these plant substances and give you to give you energy, correct? Remember, this is what's really the placement factor of searching for proteins, correct? They was just searching for the carbohydrates and electrolytes because we have electric bodies, and this is how the frequencies are ran, correct? Not from dead stagnant energies. So it's good to remember these things. We went through some questions. I hope summed some things up for you guys. I didn't want to make this too long. I'm not a pastor. This is Sunday school, but I'm not a pastor. I don't want to hold you guys too long, but I just wanted to sum up some of those questions for you guys. So I see a couple more still coming in. You can always email us at kanye700@gmail.com. You can always visit us at Kwofi.com, become a member, and get free consultations, or pay for the consultations and get a little bit more time with me personally. And you can always personally message me from time to time. I do respond back. I am a normal person. So, I appreciate everybody who tuned in. I appreciate everybody who came to the live, everybody who had comments, everybody who had questions, correct? And we need to understand that, and this is a good comment right here, closing out, by Ralph. Our bodies cannot store protein. He kind of asked it in a question form, but he's right. Our bodies cannot store protein. What must happen? We're looking for the calories anyway, correct? But what must happen is the protein must get broken down before we can store it. It must get broken down to carbohydrates. We store the carbohydrates. We store the amino acids, correct? We store the enzymes. We do not store the protein exactly. We break it down. We put it through a process to the digestion system. And this is how we're able to utilize it. So seeking after protein is kind of like seeking after an animal for these nutrients. It's a middleman. We do need protein, but heavily if you are an athlete, heavily if you are injured, heavily if you're having a complication. But like I say, when's the last time you seen someone with protein deficiency or kwashiorkor? So remember these things. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for all the support. Like I said, you can always visit us at KwofiKhAn.com. Look out for the 3 stages of consumption and digestion in the full guide, and that covers different information like protein. That covers different information about gut health and digestion remedies as well. So Power's Ultimate Families, thank you for tuning in, and look out for the Q&As going live from KwofiKhAn.com and eventually from Facebook and Instagram as well. Please follow us on YouTube as well. We do have other videos that's usually not going to hit the other platforms. So anybody who is a true fan, we do look forward to your blessing of having subscribers and followers on the YouTube and on Instagram as well. So power is ultimate, families. Everybody stay healthy out there.